So you guys will see right here on entry, see this little piece of pavement up here? You can use a little bit of that to get a better run out of this corner. So you want to be as flat as you can, as early as you can on that corner. Now this corner here, you can brake more and be almost as fast. But if you brake more and you touch the curbing, you're fucked. It's going to disturb the car like crazy. But if you attack this curbing on the left-hand side, you can drive right through it. But if you're kind of like pussyfooting it, it's going to fuck you up and you're going to go up into the dirt up here. There's another corner here where I left the driving light on so you can see. Like, they're asking you to get back on the throttle over here. There's a couple different approaches. You can bring your braking way late and get late on the throttle, and it's just about as fast as braking a little bit earlier and picking up throttle in this area right here. If you guys watch my meters at all, you'll see that I don't use a lot of throttle modulation on upshifts if the car is in a straight line. But if, like through this section here, you'll see like I'll be half throttle when I'm shifting, just in an attempt not to disturb the car too much. Because if you just stay flat on the throttle and upshift the clutch, you'll spin the tires a bit, because you have to pick up shifts at weird points through this section here. The most important part of this section is this corner right here. So you need to pick up throttle crazy early, and you need to find a line through here that you can do without jerking the car all over the fucking place, and without having to lift off the throttle too much. So through here, you're using the throttle to turn the car. If you go back and watch the laps, you'll see how I manipulate it when I tell you guys about half lifts and such. You'll see what I mean through this section here. And you can see when we go back up to the left and then we come back to the right, you'll see how careful, I think it's this lap and a couple others, like you'll see how careful I am on the upshift, like really slow and deliberate not to upset the car, because it's so hard to be fast through this section. This took me so long to figure out. But that's where you get your lap times from on this track specifically, is this section right here. Let me go back a little bit, and you can see where I try to pick up my throttle here. The green's nice, and when you're using it and you're practicing, you're like, oh yeah, I was flat right where it said to go green. But if you like watch yourself in the replays, you'll see like you're running over the green and then you're going flat. So this is actually a good reference when you're practicing. Try to be ahead of it with throttle inputs, and you might pick up a little bit of time. Flat, a little bit deliberate, a little lift on the upshift, a little lift here, probably a little lift to the left, deliberate upshift. Yeah. It's hard not to fuck that section up. On this corner here, do not downshift into the third. If you're downshifting into the third, you're going way too slow. You'll see like what my entry speed will be and what my exit speed is. It's not that big of a difference. As long as you have your line down, you don't have to scrub too much speed here. Again, picking up throttle. I don't really know. I'd rather just carry speed instead of overslowing, accelerating, off the gas, back on the gas, like the line says here. I think it's faster just to carry as most speed as possible and then get back on the throttle as soon as you can. This curbing's really friendly. You can be on this all day long. Let's see on this lap if I use that extra piece of pavement up here. It's hard to do because you're doing a million things at once. To bring the car back to the left, where the track yeah, you can see. Like I'm aiming right there. Like I want the car pointed with this line up here. That's very useful. If you stay too far inside, you have to wait so long to get back on the throttle. You can see what the green is here. Watch where I'm picking up the throttle here. I'm flat right here. I may have to do a little modulation. We'll see. Sometimes you have to come off a little bit in this area, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, I stayed flat. Like that's 3/10 right here in my practice laps where you pick up the throttle here. If you don't use all this track, and it's hard to do once your tires get too hot, but if your tires are new, like I did here, you can see on my laps, like I ran a bunch of laps in the same tires. Even with hot tires, 11 laps in, I was getting down to my target lap. So then I just pit, come back out, and see what I can run on freshies. That was good. I like that one. Again, we'll see how I use the curbing here. Yeah, if you attack it and you're back on throttle when you're hitting this curbing, you know what the car is going to do. If you're half throttle or you're lifting on the curbing, it's going to fuck you up and you're going to be out here in the shit. And again, this corner here, I like a little bit of lift at the apex, and then I go flat again for a second. We're not quite flat there, and that's okay. I caught a lot of curbing here, so the car is pretty disturbed. If you can stay off the curbing or just touch it a little bit, you have a little section here where you can go flat before you brake hard. But again, you got to make decisions where you're driving. Like I took way too much curbing here. The car's way up. So you can watch. I don't go back to flat here because the car is going to wash out way wide to the left, and all of a sudden now you're doing like an extra S turn to make up, to get lined up for this corner. Now through here, I sometimes grab third and sometimes I don't. Look, if you're offline, if you're out here or the car is a little bit, squirrely here, don't even touch third gear. There's no point. Just stay in second and you'll hit you'll be bouncing off the red line right before the break point up here, but that's okay. You're not gonna, if you try to grab a gear, it's gonna disrupt the car, and then you have to downshift again, and the car is already fucked up in this area. So now that downshift, if you're off a tiny bit, it's gonna throw you all off for this whole section. So if you're not hitting this section cleanly, stay in second. Don't even touch third. Yeah, see? Actually, that was a good example. I got a little bit squirrely here and stayed in second. But you need to be right here for this section. Just focus on this one section right here, and you will find the most time in your lap for sure. Good luck.